In a world of financial uncertainty, where global trade wars shake economies and industries rise and fall overnight, one group of individuals remains untouched by crisis: the billionaires. These are the visionaries, the risk-takers, and the game-changers who have built empires, defied the odds, and amassed fortunes that most of us can only dream of. But how did they do it? What are their secrets? And what can we learn from their stories? Welcome to our exclusive countdown of the 20 richest billionaires in the world as of the first quarter of 2025. This is not just about numbers. This is about power, influence, and the relentless pursuit of success. We'll take you inside their lives, their businesses, and their journeys from humble beginnings to the pinnacle of wealth. Stay with us till the end, because the number one billionaire on this list has shattered all records, redefining what it means to be wealthy in the modern world. Now let's begin our journey with the 20th richest billionaire on the list. At number 20, we have Francoise Bettencourt Meyers and family.
Welcome to New York City.
The heiress to the L'Oreal empire and the richest woman in the world. With a staggering net worth of $77.9 billion, Francoise is not just a business mogul. She is a symbol of generational wealth, responsibility, and strategy. Born into the legacy of L'Oreal, the global cosmetics giant founded by her grandfather, she inherited her wealth after the passing of her mother, Liliane Bettencourt. But unlike many heirs who simply preserved their fortune, Francoise expanded and solidified her family's dominance in the beauty industry. Under her leadership, L'Oreal has continued to thrive, investing in cutting-edge beauty technology, sustainability, and expansion into emerging markets. Her disciplined investment strategies and stake in the company make her one of the most powerful women in business today. Beyond business, she is a dedicated philanthropist, heavily investing in research, arts, and education. She has funded major restoration projects, including the Notre Dame Cathedral in France. A billionaire with vision, strategy, and a heart for giving back, Francoise Bettencourt Meyers continues to inspire aspiring entrepreneurs worldwide. But who comes next on the list? Stick around as we reveal the business titans who have shaped the world we live in. Next up, the telecom tycoon from Mexico, Carlos Slim, Helu, and family. Stay tuned. At number 19 is Carlos Slim, Helu, and family.
The real philanthropists are the people that give his life for the people, not the money.
With a staggering net worth of $81.2 billion. But how did a man from Mexico rise to control one of the world's largest telecom empires and nearly 40% of his country's stock market? His story is one of vision, strategy, and bold decision-making. Let's dive in. Unlike many billionaires who inherited their wealth, Carlos Slim built his fortune from the ground up. Born in 1940 in Mexico City, he was raised by Lebanese immigrant parents who owned a small dry goods store. From a young age, Slim showed a gift for numbers. At 11 years old, he was already buying and selling stocks, and by 15, he had invested in his first business. While he studied civil engineering, his true passion was finance. He believed that during crises, the best opportunities arise. So when Mexico faced an economic collapse in the 1980s, what did Carlos Slim do? He went shopping, but not for cars or luxury watches. He bought businesses at bargain prices, knowing they would recover, and he was right. His most legendary move? In 1990, he made a bold purchase. Telmex, Mexico's struggling national telephone company. At the time, it was outdated, slow, and deeply in debt. But Slim transformed it, modernizing its technology and expanding its reach. Today, his company, América Móvil, is one of the largest telecom providers in the world, serving millions across Latin America. But Slim didn't stop at telecom. His empire includes real estate, banking, oil, retail, and even sports. He once held a major stake in the New York Times and even co-owned a Formula One racing team. But here's something that might surprise you. Despite being a billionaire, Carlos Slim is famously frugal. He still lives in the same modest house he bought over 40 years ago, drives himself to work, and prefers using a simple flip phone over the latest smartphone. His philosophy? Money should be reinvested, not wasted. Instead of luxury, he focuses on business expansion, philanthropy, and economic development. Through the Carlos Slim Foundation, he has donated billions to healthcare, education, and social programs. His contributions helped build one of the largest free medical clinics in Latin America, treating millions of people every year. Carlos Slim Helu is more than just a businessman. He's a strategist, a visionary, and a leader who transformed Mexico's economy. His story is proof that crisis breeds opportunity. The real question is, are you thinking like a billionaire yet? And speaking of bold billionaires, coming up next at number 18 is a man who dropped out of college but built a tech empire that changed the way we use computers. Stay tuned as we reveal the incredible journey of Michael Dell, the mastermind behind Dell Technologies. At number 18 is Michael Dell, with a staggering net worth of $91.2 billion. But did you know that this tech genius dropped out of college to build his empire? Today, Dell Technologies is one of the world's largest computer companies, but his journey to the top wasn't always smooth. Let's dive in. Born in 1965 in Houston, Texas, Michael Dell had an unusual obsession as a child: computers. At just 7 years old, he opened a bank account to invest in stocks. By the time he was 15, he had already built his first computer. But here's where things get interesting. At 19, Dell enrolled at the University of Texas to study medicine. But instead of hitting the books, he was busy selling custom-built computers from his dorm room. By the end of his freshman year, he made $180,000, more than most doctors at the time. He quickly realized something. He didn't need a degree to become successful. So in 1984, he dropped out, took $1,000 in savings, and started Dell Computer Corporation in his parents' garage. His goal? To revolutionize how computers were sold. Back then, computers were expensive and bulky, sold only in retail stores. But Dell had a genius strategy: sell directly to customers and cut out the middleman. This meant cheaper prices, better customization, and a faster production cycle. And guess what? It worked. By the age of 27, Michael Dell became the youngest CEO ever of a Fortune 500 company. And by the late 1990s, Dell Computers was outselling IBM, HP, and Apple. But his story doesn't stop there. In the early 2000s, the tech industry crashed and Dell was facing losses. So what did he do? He took one of the boldest risks in business history. He bought back his own company in a $25 billion private deal to rebuild it from the ground up. Today, Dell Technologies is a global powerhouse in AI, cloud computing, and cybersecurity, serving 90% of Fortune 500 companies. And despite being a billionaire, Michael Dell still follows one golden rule: always be learning, always be evolving. From a college dropout to a tech mogul, Michael Dell's story proves that success isn't about where you start. It's about how far you're willing to go. But up next at number 17 is a tech titan who turned pixels into power. A man who started at rock bottom, washing dishes for pennies, before igniting a global AI revolution. His company's chips run the future, from gaming to supercomputers to self-driving cars. At number 17 is Jensen Huang, the mastermind behind NVIDIA, with a jaw-dropping net worth of $92.9 billion. But did you know that he started his journey in a tiny diner washing dishes? Today, he leads one of the most powerful companies in AI and semiconductors. His story is not just about wealth, it's about vision, resilience, and taking risks that change the world. Born in Taiwan in 1963, Jensen Huang was sent to the US at age 9. But his early life wasn't glamorous. He worked as a dishwasher at Denny's while studying. What kept him going? A love for engineering and computing. After getting his electrical engineering degree, he joined Stanford for a master's degree. But it was the early 90s, and he saw something that no one else did: the future of graphics computing. In 1993, Huang co-founded NVIDIA with just $40,000 in an uncertain future. Investors didn't believe in gaming graphics. They thought it was just for kids. But Huang was convinced that GPUs would revolutionize video games, design, and even artificial intelligence. His big break came when NVIDIA developed the GeForce 256 in 1999, the world's first GPU. This chip transformed gaming forever, making NVIDIA a household name. But Jensen didn't stop at gaming. He saw an even bigger opportunity: AI computing. In the 2010s, while other tech companies focused on smartphones, NVIDIA pivoted to deep learning and AI hardware. The result? A revolution in artificial intelligence. Today, NVIDIA is the backbone of AI, from self-driving cars to chatbots, healthcare, and even military defense systems. Even as a billionaire, Huang remains relentlessly hands-on. He personally designs NVIDIA's products, works 80-hour weeks, and believes in failing fast, learning faster. With AI and the metaverse growing, NVIDIA's influence is only expanding. Some experts even say that Jensen Huang could become the richest person in the world within a decade. But up next at number 16, a man who built an empire so vast it powers an entire nation. From humble beginnings to reshaping industries, his name commands fear and respect in boardrooms across Asia. Who is this titan of business, and how did he climb to unimaginable heights? The answer will shock you. At number 16 is Mukesh Ambani, the man behind India's most powerful business empire, with a staggering net worth of $95.9 billion. But did you know that his company, Reliance Industries, started as a small textile business? Today, it's a global powerhouse spanning oil, telecom, retail, and even technology. His journey from a middle-class childhood to becoming Asia's richest man is a story of bold moves, family legacy, and high-stakes business battles. Mukesh was born in 1957 to Dhirubhai Ambani, a man with a dream to build India's biggest business empire. His father started Reliance in 1966, not as a tech giant, but as a small textile trading company. But Dhirubhai was a master strategist. He expanded into petrochemicals, refining, and energy. And in just a few decades, Reliance became one of India's most valuable companies. Mukesh, on the other hand, was studying at Stanford University, preparing to follow his own path. But in 1981, his father called him back to help expand Reliance, and he never looked back. In the 1990s and 2000s, Mukesh led Reliance's biggest expansion, betting on oil, natural gas, and refining. He built Jamnagar Refinery, the largest oil refinery in the world, producing over 1.24 million barrels per day. This move made Reliance a global energy powerhouse and skyrocketed his wealth. But Mukesh didn't stop there. In 2016, he took a $35 billion gamble by launching Jio, a telecom network that offered free data and calls for months. The result? 400 million subscribers in just 4 years, crushing competitors and making Reliance the king of India's digital revolution. With billions flowing in, Ambani built Antilia, a 27-story, $2 billion mansion in Mumbai. It's the world's most expensive private residence, second only to Buckingham Palace. But Mukesh's journey wasn't without challenges. After their father passed away in 2002, he had a bitter feud with his brother, Anil Ambani, over Reliance's control. The two brothers split the company, and while Mukesh built a trillion-dollar empire, Anil's businesses collapsed, forcing him into bankruptcy. Now Mukesh is eyeing the next big frontier, renewable energy and space tech. With investments in solar power, hydrogen fuel, and AI-driven industries, his goal is to make Reliance a global leader beyond India. Mukesh Ambani has turned Reliance into an unstoppable force, and at 67, he's not slowing down. But up next at number 15, the untold story of America's retail royalty. While her family name is known worldwide, her private empire holds secrets that would redefine what you think about inherited wealth. This isn't just an heiress, it's a masterclass in turning privilege into unprecedented power. At number 15 is Alice Walton, the richest woman in America. with a staggering net worth of $96.6 billion. But while her family built Walmart, the world's largest retailer, Alice took a different path, choosing art over business. Unlike her brothers, who run the Walmart empire, Alice became a philanthropic art collector, creating one of the most valuable private museums in the world.
Hello, I'm Alice Walton, and I'm founder and chair of Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art.
Alice Walton was born in 1949, the only daughter of Sam Walton, the man who founded Walmart in 1962. His vision? To create a discount store for the everyday American, one that would change the way the world shops forever. Today, Walmart has over 10,500 stores in 19 countries and generates over $600 billion in revenue each year. Unlike her brothers, Alice didn't dive straight into Walmart. She studied economics and finance and spent years working in investment banking, making millions on Wall Street. But her true passion? Article. While Walmart was taking over the retail world, Alice was quietly building one of the most impressive private art collections in history. She became obsessed with American art, spending billions on rare masterpieces. In 2011, Alice Walton opened Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art in Arkansas, a $1.2 billion cultural masterpiece featuring works from legends like Norman Rockwell, George O'Keeffe, and Andy Warhol. Unlike most billionaires who keep their collections private, Alice made sure the public could enjoy these treasures for free. Despite her success, Alice's life hasn't been without controversy. She has been arrested twice for driving under the influence, sparking public criticism about billionaires. Now at 75, Alice is still expanding her legacy, not through business, but through education, healthcare, and art philanthropy. She recently donated millions to improve rural healthcare in America and plans to revolutionize art museums with digital innovation. Alice Walton could have taken over Walmart, but she followed her own passion, proving that wealth isn't just about business. It's about building a legacy. But up next at number 14, the quietest billionaire you've never noticed. While the world chases flashy fortunes, he's been silently building an unstoppable legacy right under our noses. What does the most low-key Walton know that other billionaires don't? At number 14, we have Jim Walton and family, with a staggering net worth of $104.3 billion. As the youngest son of Walmart's legendary founder, Sam Walton, Jim is one of the richest people on the planet, but unlike most billionaires, he stays out of the spotlight. In fact, he's known as the invisible billionaire because he rarely gives interviews or appears in public. But don't let his low profile fool you. He's one of the most powerful men in retail history. Jim Walton was born in 1948, just a year before his sister Alice Walton, into what would become one of the most powerful business dynasties in the world. His father, Sam Walton, started a small five-and-dime store in Arkansas in the 1950s, which eventually grew into Walmart, the world's largest retailer. Today, Walmart generates over $600 billion in revenue and has more than 10,500 stores across the globe. But unlike his father and older brothers, Jim didn't take the traditional retail route. Instead, he focused on finance and banking, running Arvest Bank, a financial institution owned by the Walton family. Under his leadership, Arvest Bank grew into a $26 billion banking giant, providing loans and services to millions across the U.S. In a way, Jim Walton controls the money behind Walmart, managing billions in assets that help fuel the company's expansion. Jim may not run Walmart's day-to-day operations, but his real power lies in his shares. He owns millions of Walmart stocks, making him one of the single biggest shareholders in the company. Every year, he earns billions in dividends alone, without lifting a finger. Unlike other billionaires who flaunt their wealth, Jim Walton is known for his humble lifestyle. He doesn't own a fleet of supercars, throw lavish parties, or chase media attention. Instead, he keeps a low profile, living a quiet life in Arkansas, where it all began. But with great wealth comes great criticism. The Walton family is often accused of hoarding too much money while Walmart employees struggle with low wages and tough working conditions. Some argue that Jim Walton and his family should do more to support their workers instead of just growing their fortunes. Even though Jim stays out of the spotlight, he's been quietly investing billions into philanthropy, focusing on education, healthcare, and community development. And with Walmart evolving into the future through AI, automation, and e-commerce, his fortune is only expected to grow even bigger. Jim Walton may not seek attention, but his influence is undeniable. He controls billions in wealth, shapes the future of Walmart, and proves that sometimes the most powerful billionaires are the ones you rarely hear about. But up next at number 13, the billionaire who traded Wall Street for world power. While others chase wealth, he rewrote the rules, turning data into domination and politics into his personal chessboard. What dangerous truth lies behind his calculated rise? At number 13, we have a media mogul, financial titan, and former mayor of New York City, Michael Bloomberg. With a staggering net worth of $104.7 billion, Bloomberg made his fortune in a way few people could have predicted, by selling information. But not just any information, the financial data that powers the world's biggest banks, hedge funds, and investment firms. Michael Bloomberg was born in 1942 in Boston, Massachusetts, to a middle-class family. After studying electrical engineering and business, he landed a job at Salomon Brothers, a major investment bank. But in 1981, something unexpected happened. He was fired after the company was bought out. Most people would have been devastated, but Bloomberg saw this as an opportunity. With a $10 million severance package, he decided to build something game-changing, a system that would revolutionize how traders and investors accessed financial data. In 1982, he founded Bloomberg LP, introducing a high-tech financial terminal that provided real-time stock market data, analytics, and news, all in one place. At the time, traders had to rely on delayed information from newspapers and phone calls. But Bloomberg's system gave them an unfair advantage: instant access to critical financial insights before anyone else. Today, over 325,000 Bloomberg terminals are used by traders, bankers, and investors worldwide, costing around $25,000 per user per year. That means Bloomberg LP rakes in billions just from subscription fees alone. But Bloomberg wasn't just a businessman, he became a political powerhouse. In 2001, just after 9/11, he ran for mayor of New York City, spending a record-breaking $74 million on his campaign. He won, and over the next 12 years, he transformed the city, making it safer, greener, and more tech-driven. Under his leadership, crime rates dropped, smoking was banned in public places, and Times Square became a pedestrian-friendly zone. Love him or hate him, there's no denying his impact. But Bloomberg's time as mayor wasn't without controversy. His stop-and-frisk policy led to widespread allegations of racial profiling, and he controversially changed the rules to stay for a third term instead of 2. And in 2020, he ran for president of the United States, spending a record $1 billion of his own money, only to drop out after just a few months. Despite the setbacks, Bloomberg remains one of the most influential billionaires in the world. Through his foundation, Bloomberg Philanthropies, he's donated over $14 billion to causes like climate change, education, and public health, making him one of the world's most generous philanthropists. And with Bloomberg LP evolving into AI-driven financial intelligence, his empire isn't slowing down anytime soon. Michael Bloomberg built an empire on information, proving that knowledge isn't just power, it's profit. He went from being fired on Wall Street to becoming a self-made billionaire and political icon. But up next at number 12, the hidden hand behind America's most controversial fortune. While the world shops, his family collects billions. But at what cost? The untold story of how one dynasty turned small-town values into a global empire and paid the price. At number 12, we have a billionaire whose fortune comes from the world's largest retailer, a company so massive that it serves over 240 million customers every week. Meet Rob Walton and family with a staggering net worth of $105.5 billion. But how did this retail empire begin? And what shocking secrets lie behind Walmart's global dominance? Let's dive in. Walmart wasn't Rob Walton's creation. It was the brainchild of his father, Sam Walton, who started the first store in 1962 with one goal: low prices every day. This simple yet powerful idea turned Walmart into a global phenomenon. But what many don't know is that Rob Walton played a critical role in making Walmart the retail giant it is today. Born in 1944, Rob Walton studied business and law before joining Walmart in 1978. When his father, Sam Walton, passed away in 1992, Rob took over as chairman of Walmart, a position he held for 23 years. Under his leadership, Walmart expanded into more than 20 countries, making it the largest retailer on the planet. Today, Walmart generates over $600 billion in annual revenue, selling everything from groceries to electronics, clothing, and even pharmaceuticals. But here's the crazy part. Despite its insane size, Walmart still has one of the lowest profit margins in retail. So how does the Walton family stay so rich? Let's break it down. The secret isn't just in selling cheap products, it's in owning the system that delivers them. Walmart controls one of the most efficient supply chains in history, allowing them to buy products at rock-bottom prices and sell them cheaper than anyone else. This forces competitors out of business, making Walmart the go-to store for millions of Americans. And while Walmart only makes a few cents on each sale, it sells so much stuff that those pennies turn into billions. But Walmart's success hasn't come without controversy. The company has been accused of underpaying workers, crushing small businesses, and using aggressive tactics to keep competitors out. Many argue that Walmart's low wages force employees to rely on government assistance, despite the company making billions in profit every year. In fact, some critics call Walmart a job killer, driving local mom-and-pop stores out of business whenever they open in a new town. Yet despite the criticism, Walmart continues to expand, and the Walton family remains one of the wealthiest families in America. Rob Walton isn't the only billionaire in the family. His siblings, Alice Walton and Jim Walton, are also on the top 20 richest people in the world list. Together, the Waltons own nearly half of Walmart's stock, meaning every time you shop there, you're making them even richer. Since stepping down as Walmart's chairman in 2015, Rob Walton has been enjoying the billionaire lifestyle. His passion? Collecting some of the rarest cars in the world. His car collection alone is worth over $300 million. Oh, and did we mention, he's also the owner of the Denver Broncos, which he bought in 2022 for a record-breaking $4.65 billion. Rob Walton might not be as famous as Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, but his family's fortune is built on one of the most powerful retail empires in history. Whether you love Walmart or hate it, there's no denying its massive impact on the world. At number 11, we have a name that needs no introduction. The man who transformed personal computing, revolutionized technology, and became one of the wealthiest individuals on the planet. With a net worth of $106.3 billion, Bill Gates didn't just build a company, he built an empire that changed the way we work, communicate, and live. But how did a college dropout create one of the most powerful companies in history? And what shocking secrets lie behind his rise to wealth? Let's find out.
There's a lot of people who are forecasting that there'll be software stores just like there are record stores today, and that there'll be thousands and thousands of those. And I think I'd have to agree with that.
Born in 1955, Bill Gates was a computer genius from an early age. While most kids were playing outside, Gates was busy hacking computers at his high school, even getting banned for breaking into systems. By the time he reached Harvard, he already had the skills to build software that would change the world. But instead of finishing college, he made a bold decision: he dropped out to start a company called Microsoft with his childhood friend, Paul Allen. By the 1990s, Microsoft was everywhere. Windows ran on over 90% of computers worldwide, and Bill Gates became the youngest billionaire in history at just 31 years old. But how did Gates become the world's richest man? It wasn't just about selling software, it was about owning the entire ecosystem. Instead of making one-time sales, Microsoft licensed Windows to computer manufacturers, meaning every PC sold with Windows brought in recurring revenue. This strategy turned Microsoft into a money-printing machine, and by 1995, Gates was the richest person in the world, a title he held for 18 out of the next 24 years. But with great power comes great controversy. By the late 90s, Microsoft had become so powerful that the US government accused them of monopolizing the tech industry. The company was sued for using unfair tactics to crush competition, and in 2000, they were nearly broken up by the courts. But Microsoft survived, and Gates remained one of the most influential figures in tech. His rivalry with Steve Jobs of Apple was legendary. While Gates focused on software, Jobs focused on sleek, premium hardware. But despite their clashes, even Steve Jobs admitted that Gates was one of the smartest minds in tech. By 2008, Gates stepped down from his full-time role at Microsoft to focus on philanthropy. Through the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, he has donated over $50 billion to causes like eradicating polio, fighting climate change, and funding COVID-19 vaccines. But even in philanthropy, he remains a controversial figure. Some believe his work is truly for the greater good, while others accuse him of having too much control over global health decisions. Love him or hate him, there's no denying that Bill Gates has shaped the world we live in today. Even in his late 60s, Gates is still thinking about the future. He believes AI, clean energy, and biotech will be the next big revolutions. And despite stepping away from Microsoft, he remains one of the most influential minds in technology. From a Harvard dropout to a self-made billionaire, from a tech mogul to a global philanthropist, Bill Gates' story is nothing short of incredible. His legacy is carved into every laptop, every office, and every home that runs Windows. But coming up next at number 10, the most explosive billionaire you've never noticed. He turned corporate fire into pure fortune, screaming his way to billions while everyone else played it safe. What's the secret fuel behind this human rocket? Stay tuned as we reveal the next billionaire. At first, Microsoft was just a small startup working on software for early computers. But in 1981, everything changed when they created MS-DOS, an operating system that became the backbone of personal computing. Then, in 1985, they launched Windows. And suddenly, computers became user-friendly and accessible to everyone. Microsoft didn't just dominate the industry, they became the industry.
Developers, 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 developers. Developers, 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 developers.
At number 10, we have a man who turned high energy into high profits. With a net worth of $113.3 billion, Steve Ballmer isn't just a former Microsoft CEO, he's a legend in the business world. From a wild, screaming executive to one of the richest sports team owners in history, his journey is filled with unexpected twists, shocking business moves, and a personality that made him one of the most memorable billionaires ever. How did he rise to power? What role did he play in making Microsoft a trillion-dollar company? And how did he go from selling software to owning an NBA team? Let's dive in. Born in 1956, Steve Ballmer was a math whiz and sports fanatic. But his life changed forever when he met Bill Gates at Harvard. The two became friends, and when Gates dropped out to build Microsoft, Balmer stayed behind to finish his degree. But in 1980, Gates called with an offer, "Come work at Microsoft." Balmer took the risk of a lifetime. He dropped out of Stanford Business School and became Microsoft's 30th employee. His first job? Managing business operations and sales. But what set Balmer apart wasn't just his intelligence, it was his explosive energy. Balmer didn't write code. He didn't build software. Instead, he did something just as important. He sold it better than anyone else. He turned Microsoft into a sales powerhouse, making sure Windows and Office dominated every business, school, and home computer. By the 1990s, Microsoft was printing money, and Balmer had climbed the ranks to become president of Microsoft. And then, in 2000, the unthinkable happened. Bill Gates stepped down as CEO, and Balmer took over. Most people don't realize this, but under Balmer, Microsoft had its most profitable years ever. He focused on the company's core products, Windows, Office, and enterprise software. By the time he retired in 2014, Microsoft's revenue had grown from $25 billion to $77 billion, and its profits had tripled. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Balmer made some big mistakes along the way. One of Balmer's biggest blunders, underestimating the iPhone. When Apple launched the first iPhone in 2007, Balmer laughed it off, saying, "There's no chance that phone will get any significant market share." Well, that didn't age well. While Apple revolutionized the smartphone industry, Microsoft fell behind and eventually killed its Windows Phone project. Then there was the Zune, Microsoft's failed attempt to compete with the iPod, and the $7 billion Nokia purchase, which was one of the biggest tech failures in history. Despite these mistakes, Microsoft remained a tech giant, and Balmer left with a massive fortune. After retiring from Microsoft, Balmer didn't just disappear, he made a power move into the sports world. In 2014, he bought the Los Angeles Clippers for $2 billion, making him the richest team owner in NBA history. Steve Ballmer isn't your typical billionaire. He doesn't sit quietly in a boardroom. He's loud, he's intense, and he's one of the most successful business leaders of all time. From helping build Microsoft into a global powerhouse to owning an NBA team, Balmer's energy is unstoppable. But coming up next at number 9, we have a billionaire who went from a small-town delivery boy to building the biggest fashion empire in the world. He never gave an interview for decades, rarely appears in public, and yet his company is in every major shopping mall on the planet. Stay tuned as we reveal the incredible rise of Amancio Ortega and the global dominance of Zara. And in true Balmer style, he didn't just sit in the owner's box. He became the most hyped up, energetic, and passionate team owner the NBA has ever seen. At number 9, we have a billionaire who went from humble beginnings to building a fashion empire worth over $114.4 billion. You might not recognize his face, but you've definitely worn his brand. His company, Zara, changed the way people shop forever. So who is the mysterious man behind one of the biggest retail success stories in history? Born in 1936 in a small town in Spain, Amancio Ortega didn't come from wealth. As a teenager, he worked as a delivery boy for a local tailor, learning about fabrics, clothing production, and, most importantly, how to sell. In the 1960s, he started his own business, making affordable, high-quality robes and lingerie. But Ortega had bigger dreams. He wanted to create a fashion brand that could keep up with the latest trends in real time. In 1975, Ortega opened the first Zara store in Spain. Unlike other fashion brands that took months to release new collections, Zara operated differently. It could design, produce, and stock new styles in just 2 weeks. This fast fashion model changed everything. While other brands struggled to predict trends, Zara simply reacted to what customers wanted, faster and cheaper than anyone else. By the 1990s, Zara was opening stores all over the world. Ortega built an ultra-efficient supply chain, cutting out middlemen and producing clothes at lightning speed. This allowed Zara to expand into Europe. the US, Asia, and beyond. Today, Zara is part of Inditex, Ortega's parent company that owns multiple fashion brands and operates over 7,000 stores worldwide. Unlike most billionaires, Ortega avoids the spotlight. He rarely gives interviews, doesn't appear at fashion shows, and prefers a quiet life in Spain. Even as one of the richest men in the world, he still eats at the same local cafe every day and wears simple, unbranded clothes. But despite his low profile, his impact on the fashion industry is undeniable. Zara's success has inspired competitors, but it also faces new challenges. With the rise of online shopping and growing concerns over fast fashion's environmental impact, can Ortega's empire continue to dominate? One thing is certain, whether you love it or criticize it, Zara has revolutionized the way people shop forever. Coming up next at number 8, we have a tech genius who helped shape the way you search, work, and even watch videos online. His company started as a simple idea in a college dorm, but today it's one of the most powerful tech empires on the planet. Who is he? Stay tuned to find out. At number 8, we have a billionaire whose college project turned into a tech empire that changed the world. With a net worth of $123.3 billion, he helped create something you probably use every single day. Without his work, the internet wouldn't be what it is today. But who really is Sergey Brin, and how did he co-found Google? Sergey Brin was born in Moscow, Russia, in 1973, but his family fled to the United States when he was just 6 years old to escape religious persecution. Growing up in Maryland, Brin developed a passion for mathematics and computer science. By the time he entered Stanford University, he was already a coding prodigy. In 1995, Brin met Larry Page, a fellow Stanford PhD student. The two had different personalities. Brin was energetic and outgoing, while Page was more analytical. But they shared one vision: to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible. They created a search engine that ranked web pages not by keywords alone, but by relevance and backlinks. They called it Backrub, but soon they renamed it to something simpler: Google. Google quickly outperformed other search engines. By 1998, they had set up office in a garage, and within a few years, Google was processing millions of searches a day. But Brin wasn't just interested in search. He led the development of Google Images, Google Books, and even played a key role in self-driving car technology. Today, Google isn't just a search engine, it's an empire with services like YouTube, Android, Google Maps, and Google Cloud dominating the tech world. Sergey Brin isn't just a businessman, he's a visionary. He has invested billions in AI, robotics, and even space exploration. But despite his wealth, Brin has always kept a low profile, choosing to focus on innovation rather than fame. With AI and automation advancing rapidly, Google's next big move could change how we interact with the internet forever. And with Brin still investing in cutting-edge technology, his influence on the future is far from over. Up next at number 7, we have another tech billionaire who helped shape the internet as we know it. He's the brains behind Google's business empire, and his innovations have made digital advertising a trillion-dollar industry. Without him, Google wouldn't be the powerhouse it is today. Who is he? Stay tuned to find out. At number 7, we have a billionaire whose biggest dream was to organize the internet. And in the process, he created a company that now controls over 90% of the world's online searches. With a net worth of $128.6 billion, he helped turn Google into a trillion-dollar empire. But who really is Larry Page, and how did he change the way we use the internet?
When I was 12 or so, my parents actually gave me an autobiography of Tesla. And when I say Tesla, maybe some of you think of the rock band, maybe you think of the electric car company now, but actually it refers to Nikola Tesla, which was, when I was 12, I guess that was probably the main choice.
Larry Page was born in Michigan in 1973 into a family of computer scientists. His father, Carl Page, was a pioneer in artificial intelligence, and his mother was a computer programming instructor. With tech running in his veins, it was no surprise that Page became obsessed with computers from an early age. As a kid, he would take apart machines just to see how they worked. By the time he was in high school, he was already building his own inventions. At Stanford University, Larry Page met Sergey Brin. The two didn't get along at first. Brin thought Page was too serious, and Page thought Brin was too argumentative. But one thing united them: a vision to improve how people found information online. Back then, search engines were messy and inefficient. Page believed he could build a better one that ranked websites based on their relevance and popularity rather than just keywords. Together, they created an algorithm called PageRank, and with that, Google was born. In 1998, Page and Brin launched Google from a garage. At first, no one believed a search engine could be profitable, but Page had a plan. He figured out that if they placed relevant ads next to search results, they could turn searches into billions of dollars. And he was right. Google's advertising platform, Google Ads, now generates over $200 billion a year. Under Page's leadership, Google expanded beyond search, acquiring YouTube, launching Android, and pioneering AI-driven services like Google Assistant and DeepMind. Unlike most tech billionaires, Page has always been a mystery. He avoids the spotlight, rarely gives interviews, and even disappeared from public view for years while working on secret Google projects. But behind closed doors, he's been leading the future of technology, investing billions into AI, quantum computing, and even flying cars. Even though he stepped down as Google's CEO in 2019, Page is still one of the most powerful figures in tech. His vision for AI-driven search, autonomous technology, and space exploration is shaping the future as we speak. At number 6, we have a man who built an empire of elegance and exclusivity. With a net worth of $161.1 billion, Bernard Arnault is the mastermind behind LVMH, the world's largest luxury goods company. From Louis Vuitton to Dior, from Moet and Chandon to Tiffany & Co. If it's luxury, he probably owns it. But how did a French businessman turn high-end fashion into a multi-billion-dollar empire? Unlike most fashion moguls, Arnault didn't start in the industry. He was born in France in 1949, and his family owned a construction company, Fer Savenel. But young Bernard had bigger ambitions. He wanted to own brands that represented power and prestige. In the 1980s, he saw an opportunity. Dior was struggling, and its parent company, Bussac, was on the verge of collapse. Arnault seized the moment. He bought the company, fired thousands, and focused only on the high-end brands. This bold move made him the luxury industry's most ruthless deal-maker. Arnault didn't stop at Dior. He knew that luxury brands thrive on exclusivity and heritage, so he started buying them all. He took over Louis Vuitton, then Moet and Chandon Champagne, and Hennessy Cognac, merging them to form LVMH. Over the years, he added Givenchy, Fendi, Bulgari, Sephora, and even Tiffany & Company to his collection. Today, LVMH owns over 75 high-end brands and dominates the luxury industry with a market value of hundreds of billions of dollars. And here's the shocking part. LVMH isn't just about fashion. It owns hotels, yachts, and even high-end jewelry stores, making Arnault the undisputed king of luxury. Bernard Arnault isn't just a businessman. He's an art lover and a strategic mastermind. He personally reviews every product before launch and even plays classical piano in his free time. But don't be fooled by his love for music. Arnault is a ruthless competitor. In the world of business, he's known as the Wolf in Cashmere because of his aggressive takeover tactics. He once spent years trying to take over Hermès, one of the last independent luxury brands, using secret stock purchases. His philosophy: luxury is the combination of creativity and commerce, and that mindset has kept LVMH ahead of its rivals. Even at 76 years old, Arnault is still thinking ahead. He's investing in luxury tech, combining fashion with AI and virtual reality shopping experiences. And get this, he's training his children to take over the empire, making sure LVMH remains a family dynasty.
Moi, le passage à Polytechnique, en plus, a permis d'avoir une première rencontre avec gestion humaine dans la partie militaire. C'est ce que j'expliquais pour mon fils qui lui aussi est à Polytechnique et qui a dirigé une petite équipe de pompiers pendant son stage militaire. Voilà, des expériences qui m'ont été très utiles par la suite.
At number 5, we have a man who turned $100 into billions with a net worth of $165.4 billion.
In 1942, 80 years ago, I took $114.75, every penny I'd saved, and I bought 3 shares of City Service Preferred. And City Service is a pretty well-known name now and then.
Warren Buffett is not just one of the richest people alive. He's the greatest investor in history. But what's even crazier, he made his fortune by following one simple strategy that anyone can use. Born in 1930 in Omaha, Nebraska, Buffett wasn't your average kid. While others played baseball, he was reading investment books at 10 years old. By 11, he made his first stock purchase. By 13, he was running a newspaper business, filing taxes, and making more money than his teachers. His obsession with numbers led him to study under Benjamin Graham, the father of value investing. This was where Buffett learned his golden rule: buy great companies at a discount and hold them forever. Buffett's greatest move? Turning a failing textile company, Berkshire Hathaway, into the most valuable holding company in the world. Instead of making clothes, he started buying entire businesses: Coca-Cola, Apple, American Express, Geco, and more. And get this, Berkshire Hathaway stock started at $7 per share. Today, one share is worth over $500,000. If you invested just $1,000 with Buffett in the 1960s, you'd be sitting on hundreds of millions of dollars today. Despite being a billionaire, Buffett lives like an average person. He still lives in the same house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. He drives himself to work, eats McDonald's for breakfast, and drinks 5 cans of Coca-Cola a day. His philosophy: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. While other billionaires spend on yachts and private jets, Buffett invests every dollar wisely. So how does Buffett pick stocks? His rules for success are surprisingly simple. 1. Buy companies, not stocks. Focus on businesses that will thrive for decades. 2. Ignore short-term noise, market crashes. He sees them as buying opportunities. 3. Invest in what you understand. Buffett never buys trendy startups. He sticks to tried and true businesses. 4. Be patient. His favorite holding period? Forever. In fact, he once said, if you aren't willing to own a stock for 10 years, don't even think about owning it for 10 minutes. Despite being worth $165 billion, Buffett plans to give away 99% of his fortune. He co-founded the Giving Pledge with Bill Gates, convincing other billionaires to donate their wealth. His reason? I won't be able to spend it all, so why not help millions of people instead?
You don't really need brains. You need the right orientation. 90% of the people, I'm pulling a figure out of the air, but 90% of the people that buy stocks don't think of them the right way. They think about something that they hope goes up next week. And they think about the market as something they hope goes up. And if it's down, they feel worse. I feel better.
At number 4, we have a billionaire who turned a $1,200 startup into a $280 billion tech giant. Larry Ellison, worth $173.6 billion, founded Oracle, one of the most powerful software companies in the world. But here's the twist: he walked away from it all. Larry Ellison's path wasn't easy. Born in Chicago to a single mother, he was adopted by his aunt and uncle. He dropped out of 2 colleges and spent years jumping from job to job in Silicon Valley. But in 1977, everything changed. With just $1,200 and 2 business partners, he launched a small database company. Their first big break? A contract with the CIA for a project called Oracle. The name stuck, and so did the success. Oracle grew faster than anyone expected. By the 1980s, every major bank, government agency, and Fortune 500 company relied on Oracle's databases. Even today, Amazon, Netflix, and NASA use Oracle software to manage their data. And Ellison, he became a Silicon Valley legend. Known for his fierce competitiveness, he would mock rivals like Microsoft and IBM, always pushing Oracle to dominate. Ellison didn't just build a fortune, he spent it in style. He bought 98% of the Hawaiian island of Lanai, turning it into a luxury resort. His super yacht, Musashi, is a floating palace, and his Malibu mansion, it's worth hundreds of millions. But despite his billionaire lifestyle, Ellison never lost his love for competition. He even funded an America's Cup sailing team just to prove he could win. In 2014, after 37 years, Ellison shocked the world by stepping down as Oracle's CEO. But he wasn't retiring. He was reinventing himself. He poured billions into AI, cloud computing, and even medical research. Today, he's betting on the future of technology, and he's still one of the richest men on the planet. At number 3, we have a college dropout who turned a small website into a global empire. With a net worth of $197.9 billion, Mark Zuckerberg is the mastermind behind Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. Apps that control how billions of people connect, share, and communicate. Zuckerberg wasn't your typical Harvard student. In 2003, he created FaceMash, a site where students could rank classmates' photos. It was controversial, it was shut down, but it proved one thing. People were obsessed with social connections online. The very next year, he built the Facebook, a platform exclusively for Harvard students. It was an instant hit, and soon every major college in America wanted in. But with great power comes great controversy. Facebook has faced major scandals, from data privacy breaches to political misinformation. Governments across the world have accused Zuckerberg of monopolizing social media and misusing user data. And yet, despite the backlash, Facebook continues to grow, rebranding itself as Meta and pushing into the metaverse. Zuckerberg's latest bet? The metaverse, a digital world where people can live, work, and interact through virtual reality. He's poured billions into this vision, even though it's still a work in progress. Will it be his greatest success or his biggest failure? Only time will tell.
You know, one of the crazy things when you do these live Q&As is some of them are very silly. So we got one. Mark, are the allegations true that you are secretly a lizard? I'm gonna have to go with no on that. I am not a lizard. But you know, keep the high quality comments coming in, please. This is surely on track to be a great live Q&A if we continue getting stuff at that level of quality.
At number 2, we have a former Wall Street banker who took a huge risk, leaving his high-paying job to sell books online. People thought he was crazy, but today Amazon is a $1 trillion empire, and Jeff Bezos is worth $205.4 billion.
You can choose a life of ease and comfort, or you can choose a life of service and adventure. Which one of those, when you're 90 years old, are you going to be more proud of?
In 1994, Jeff Bezos left his high-paying Wall Street job to chase what he called the everything store. He started with books. Why? Because books were easy to ship, and there were millions of them. He worked out of his garage, packing books himself and shipping them to customers. Within just a year, Amazon was making millions in sales. Bezos wasn't satisfied with just books. He turned Amazon into a one-stop shop, selling everything from gadgets to groceries. But the real game changer? Amazon Prime. 2-day shipping made customers addicted to shopping online. Then came AWS, Amazon Web Services, a cloud computing service that now powers the internet. It's so profitable that it makes up a huge chunk of Amazon's revenue today. Amazon became a retail giant, but it wasn't without controversy. Employees accused the company of harsh working conditions, small businesses struggled against its dominance, and governments questioned its monopoly. Still, Bezos kept expanding, buying Whole Foods, launching Alexa, and dominating e-commerce like no one else. In 2021, Bezos stepped down as Amazon's CEO, handing over the reins to focus on Blue Origin, his space exploration company. His goal? To make space travel as common as air travel. With billions in funding, Bezos is now competing with Elon Musk in the race to colonize space. At number 1, we have a billionaire who is part genius, part mad scientist, and all controversy. He's revolutionized electric cars, space travel, artificial intelligence, and even social media. With a net worth of $338.3 billion, Elon Musk is officially the richest person on Earth. Born in South Africa, Musk was a kid who taught himself to code. He moved to the US with a dream and no money. His first big win? Selling Zip2 for $307 million and later co-founding PayPal, which eBay bought for $1.5 billion. In 2004, Musk invested in Tesla, a struggling startup no one took seriously. Gas-powered cars ruled the world, and critics laughed at the idea of electric vehicles. But Musk didn't back down. Today, Tesla is the world's most valuable car company, with its Model Y becoming the best-selling car on the planet. While building Tesla, Musk had another dream, making humans a multi-planetary species. He founded SpaceX, but early rockets kept failing. On the brink of bankruptcy, his final attempt succeeded. Now, SpaceX launches more rockets than any other company. His next goal? A human colony on Mars? In 2022, Musk shocked the world by buying Twitter for $44 billion. He rebranded it to X, fired thousands of employees, and changed the platform forever. Some say he's saving free speech. Others say he's destroying it. But one thing is clear, Musk is always making headlines. Musk isn't stopping at cars and rockets. He's building AI-powered robots, brain chips, and underground tunnels to reduce traffic. He believes the world needs to move faster, and he's the one to push it forward. Love him or hate him, Elon Musk is shaping the future like no one else. And with a net worth of $338.3 billion, he's not just the richest, he's the most influential billionaire of our time. Who surprised you the most? Drop a comment below. And if you're ready to unlock the secrets of the ultra-rich, smash that like button and subscribe for more billionaire breakdowns. This is The Gifted Studio, where wealth meets wisdom. See you in the next video.